Oh, sorry. I'm going to start all over again. I hope you can hear me. um, and what I was saying is it's day 1644. Oh, sorry. I'm going to start all over again. 1644 days since Richard was brutally murdered on Fort Bliss in the line of duty. And what we're hearing now is the next steps. The next steps is receiving Richard's remains and the accountability. That's the next steps. And we're getting external feedback, uh, contacted about the security risks of that. And why is there security risk? Well, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear the gnashing of teeth. You're going to hear the cries. You're going to hear the same, the same, what do you call it? The same procedures that they do. They're going to try to discredit. They're going to try to harass. They're going to try to intimidate. They're going to try to do their smear campaign. Whatever it takes, because they don't want us to receive our son's remains, right? They don't want to receive, you know, back in 2020, it was very clear that after speaking with those that were in charge, several people that were part of the search for Vanessa Guillen, that were in charge of the search for Vanessa Guillen, and speaking with the CID about what had happened in the case of Vanessa Guillen. The point that everyone needs to know about that case is that the CID, I can speak for this in that respect, the CID obstructed the search for Vanessa Guillen. Okay, the Army, this would be Michael Garrett. Okay, Michael Garrett. And this would be Donna Martin. She was provost marshal. And I'm sure there's others. But those are relevant to Richard's case because that's Richard's general. And that is, Donna Martin came to El Paso. We met with her. She's IG of the Army, right? And what they didn't want to happen was finding Vanessa Guillen's remains. That was very clear from everyone that we spoke to. They, there was so much hindrance. So much. They could have found her earlier. They had found the Pelican case, and the search was then called off. And the search was called off for the Texas EquiSearch that are just absolute premier searchers. They have the horses, they have all the experience, and it was called off right after they found a key piece of evidence that had her DNA on it. Okay, it had her DNA on it, and it was called off. And that tells you something. And it also tells you something about General Michael Garrett, doesn't it? Because he had now a piece, because they tried to melt the Pelican case, but they had a piece of that Pelican case. And where was the reinforcement for the search? Where was the all-out search for Vanessa? No, what happened was a call off. they called it off. And Texas EquiSearch told us that they were crying, that they stood on the bridge over that land that they had found the Pelican case on, and they knew she was close. And they prayed over that land. They prayed over that land. And I believe that those prayers is what caused the wild animals to dig. Of course, it's God, right? Of course, it's God. God wanted Vanessa Guillen's remains to be found. And those animals were digging around that grave. And the linemen saw those animals and were curious. What are all those animals doing, right? And that's how her remains were found by the linemen. Um, Not by hundreds, because this is Fort Hood. I know Fort Hood. I know Texas. I went to school in Temple, Texas. I taught at Killeen. Our first daughter was in Killeen. I met my husband. I was married on Fort Hood. Now it's called Fort Cavazos. Right. That is such a huge area with so many people there. They could have got hundreds of people searching for Vanessa. Easily after that Pelican case, they could have just been shoulder to shoulder. They could have found her. That's not how she was found. And so, that really is why we have security threats right now in Richard's case, because, finding Vanessa, how can you argue anything? You can't make excuses. You have to hold those people accountable, right? There has to be fallout, total fallout when something like that happens. And what happened to Richard um, will be all revealed with his remains. And this step that he is now murdered in the line of duty on Fort Bliss, y'all. That's a very, we are so close to getting his remains. We're at the Pelican case stage, right? We just got the Pelican case. And we have the seal on the door. We have the seal number on the door that is connected to the Borstar. The Borstar positive hit canine that had a positive hit for Richard's remains, meaning his smell, human smell, and the seal on the door, the red seal for, a criminal, a crime scene, to preserve evidence of a crime scene. And then we have that there was an illegal order to illegally renovate without holding back any expenses of that very room that had this seal on it. So, of course, there is gnashing of teeth. You have Delirious Montanez confirming that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. You have, and I can't, she said that publicly. So, you know, um, but there is uh, other evidence that we have. Audio evidence, we have a lot of audio evidence. We have audio evidence of Leilani Hart being connected to um, the Walmart mass shooting. It's connected. The articles connect Leilani Hart with the Walmart mass shooting. The Dallas Hart being part of the unit connects. The unit is connected to the Walmart mass shooting case. I should say Walmart mass shooting case. So, people want to know what happened. When they hear the audios about, with Joe Spencer about Patrick Crucius, they're like, wait a minute, Patrick Crucius could never have done this by himself. Never. Never, ever, ever in a million years. I mean, it's just, he just could never do it. So what happened? And why are they taking this long to show us the evidence? Because, really the taxpayers are paying millions of dollars. Why don't they show us the evidence? Where are the forensics? Show us the bullets. Show us the bullet holes. Show us the caliber of bullets. Show us the weapons. Show us the clothing, because in the pictures, Patrick Crucius looks totally clean just minutes after. He's totally clean. How did that happen? He ran next door to a laundromat that was like of the future that you just walk through or something, because his shoes were clean. You can't, so something's very fishy with the Walmart case. And because the American taxpayers are paying for it, literally paying for it, they want to know. And then the victims' families want to know. They want to know. And they want to know if the victims' fund was fraudulently distributed. Who got that money? We need transparency. And then with Richard's case, Richard is a U.S. Army soldier on a huge U.S. Army military installation that Americans pay loads of money for security. And now they're saying, confirming, because of all the evidence, confirming that he was murdered on Fort Bliss in the line of duty. In the line of duty. And uniform. And, that the next step, that's the Pelican case, right? Now we want his remains. Now we want his remains. And we want accountability. And because of President Trump hasn't even been in office for a week yet, not even a week. We're just hitting not even 5 days, right? And we are getting communications of potential threats, because there's going to be gnashing of teeth, because there's active and ongoing investigations into the murder of Richard. And that's why you hear things coming out. They wanted everyone to think this was a cold case. And we kept telling everyone, no, there's ongoing and active investigations going on. There's ongoing and active investigations going on. And, people would ask, and like, why is this taking so long? Well, because there's obstruction of justice in this. They have to weed through it all, but we are absolutely working with it's almost 30 different agencies. And they have to weed through this whole thing because it's such a big case. And we've been telling everyone, this is such a huge case. It's so big. And we have Richard, being the whistleblower, trying to help children. You had hundreds of thousands of children, and it was on the news all over today. Hundreds of thousands of children that were trafficked, and they call them unaccompanied migrant minor. No, they're not unaccompanied, they're taken. They're taken children, and they trafficked them through El Paso to Fort Bliss into these child camps and registered them there, and then would put 40 of them into a house. This is what we were told by the Border Czar Holman today, and I should have got the clip and put it up. But he said they would. So this is our military in charge of these children, hundreds of thousands of them, and let's just snap up 40 of them and give them into this house, right? That's not putting them in a home. That's putting them on a shelf, like in a shop. That's what that's doing. They're putting them in a shop. That's like they're filling up the, the stock, and then he's saying they're selling them out of there, selling them out. And I've identified these different places that I thought were shocking around that area, and things that I've heard um, that needed to be looked at. We've turned all of this stuff in, and I've been told you need to just keep quiet, keep quiet. Well, wait a minute. You have hundreds of thousands of children, and that are being trafficked. And people are being up to no good with them, and I know that full well that El Paso has that problem, that they're up to no good with children, that they have these sex cults, and it's just a terrible thing. And they're at the border, and they have the drug thing, and they have the weapons problem and the ammunition problem. And and it carried over into the United States, these Mexican cartel terroristic organizations, and became like the El Paso terroristic organization, and it spilled into our military there on Fort Bliss. And they had child camps, and these are not my words. These are this is all sent to me. And it's called a death camp. Fort Bliss is being called a death camp. And Richard was a whistleblower, and he was in communication with Washington, D.C. He was in communication with FBI Houston. He was in communication with the IG. He was in communication with CID, which is a small office, which had CID Tavita Nusa, right? The disgrace, defrocked, the former CID agent, but at that time he was there. He was there, and he's family member with Leilani Hart. So you have a family member in the CID of Leilani Hart, and you have her son as Richard's platoon leader. Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. And you have hundreds of thousands of children that are now mostly dead. And I hear, got messages sent to me, and I hear it on the news that looks like some might have been found, and the first thing they have to do is look to their mental and physical health, because the abuse is so bad. The abuse is so bad. But hundreds of thousands mostly dead. So if you're a survivor of that, we need to support that, and that should be what we're talking about. What we should be talking about is the crimes that come from all of this open border criminality. And what's really good news is we have a president now who's not going to stand for it, and he has now using military planes to get rid of these criminals, and He's posting the crimes online so people understand who he is, sending back home. He's sending them back home. Go home and letting their country deal with them. And we need to deal with what's going on in our country, like what happened in North Carolina with the storm, like Tennessee, like Georgia, like over in California, and the high prices on things here, and we have to deal with our problems. We do not need other countries' criminals here. They need to go home, and their country needs to deal with their own problems, their own. They need to be sovereign, right? They say we're a sovereign country. Okay, well, here, take your criminals and you deal with them. They don't need to be here causing trouble, taking our resources, impersonating, harassing, doing criminal activities, um, uh, you know, d- uh, committing fraud, and all the things that go along with being a criminal. So you're going to hear, because we're so close, right? Because we're so close, because everything is starting to make sense. And of course, after what, not even 5 days, we have President Trump on it. He is on it so fast that he's already found some of those children that have been abused, the ones that have survived. And we're being the outreach is incredible. Even with the warnings that there is security risks, and we're upping our security. We up our security. We've been 4 years going through threats and intimidation and harassment, and the worst kind of worse. So, we knew that Richard must be an absolute hero to go against this terroristic organization that has been trafficking in our country and seeped into our military and compromised some of our military leadership. And in Richard's case, it's bad. It's bad. And they need to be held accountable for their betrayal, um, and what do you call them? Narco generals, narco command sergeant major. Um, because President Trump is calling these politicians that have been aiding and abetting and working alongside the terroristic organizations narco politicians. And they're going to be uh they're spiraling down into the abyss where it's very dark, right? It's very dark even for them. They have their dark hearts, they have their dark minds, they have their dark activities, but they're spiraling down where it is even darker than what they can conceive. And they're gnashing their teeth. They're gnashing their teeth. They're screaming out, and you're going to hear it. And we just have to be brave. We have to be brave and committed enough to get the accountability, because that is getting Richard's remains and accountability. That is it. That is it. And look, they try so hard. They give this preemptive pardon. Well, I can tell you this, that those that helped Leilani Hart and Dallas Hart and Tavita Nusa And even them, none of them got a preemptive pardon. None of them. None of them have gotten a preemptive pardon. They might have wished that this would have all happened sooner, that they might have been able to get a pardon, a legitimate pardon, because preemptive pardon is not a legitimate pardon. That's not legitimate. Can you imagine the can of worms that opened? Like, okay, so every leader from now on, like every president from now on, can do whatever they will with their people, commit all kinds of crimes, and like the 20 minutes before the end of their term, they just give everyone a preemptive pardon. I mean, uh, you know, eh, I don't know how they're going to address that illegitimate uh, preemptive pardon, but they're going to, and it was on on the news today too. That that is absolutely not going to fly. So what happened with Mealy and Fauci and all of them? It's just not going to fly. But in Richard's case, I mean, Mealy is part of Richard's case, right? So his preemptive pardon is that for Richard's case. I don't think it's going to fly. But but for us, everything, because we are patriotic, because we are law abiding. From the very beginning, we've tried to stay as patient as we can. I mean, you can get so frustrated, right? But we've tried to stay as patient as we can, um, and and look to the law. Look to the law, and do things legally, even even with um, a system that seemed to be out of control. We looked to the law. We documented and we filed. We documented and we filed. Even to those that we knew that they had been compromised, but we went ahead and look. We contacted Bob Moore, and we knew he was so compromised. He's such a disgrace. He's so disgraceful. And yet we attempted to contact him no less than 15 times to give him the scoop, the inside scoop. And, the one thing is that's so disappointing. And I know it's disappointing for everyone that's why they're called the fake news. But, the reporters, because we know that Angela Kachurga is compromised and there's others. KTSM with Danae Katzen. I mean, Danae Katzen, it's like, oh, hey, family at KTSM. Yeah, KTSM was also weaponized. Um, it's so heartbreaking. Um, and we really need to address the media situation because they could never have gotten away with what they did unless they have control of the media, right? And so with our hard evidence of everything, we hope to help address that because that's so important because every article is used like in the court of law. The media is so important, and to have control or partial control or, at least compromise our law enforcement, the judicial. I mean, and of course, what are you going to do with billions of dollars, right? Billions of dollars. You make millions, you compromise some people. You make more millions, you compromise some more people. You make billions, you compromise even more. You can buy all kinds of stuff with $1 billion, right? Billion here, billion there. And just with the narcotics alone is $90 billion. $90 billion a year. So, and what I'm addressing is people say, "Oh no, it couldn't have the compromise couldn't have gotten that bad. The corruption couldn't have gotten that bad." No, it did. It did. It is. And praise God that we have a president now who is addressing it, and he's addressing it very quickly. Very quickly. And we're still documenting and filing. And because of that, and because of what's going on with the Trump administration, the new Trump administration, and because Mexican cartels, and I would put in El Paso cartel with that, are considered terroristic organizations now, with the narco politicians as aiding and abetting a terroristic organization. That kind of legal stand is huge. It's really huge. With that going on, we're getting war. And I don't even want to play the victim here. I'm just saying that we have to take steps, different steps, because um, things are happening now. That the accountability is happening. I mean, when you have the U.S. Army landing at Biggs on Fort Bliss to secure that border and to fly out all of these illegal aliens. I mean, you're even allowed to say that term now, illegal aliens. And don't forget, Lalani Hart has some problems. From her confession, she came into the country illegally, so that means she's illegal. Now, I'm going to leave that for the law enforcement to decide. The affidavit, uh, and I posted partial of it just recently in a private group, and they, of course, redacted because it's so horrible, it's so shocking, just to see what the reaction is, to make sure that our reaction is not just because of our emotions with our son being so brutally murdered. Um, and the reaction was, why is Leilani Hart not arrested? Why is she not arrested? There is no other option. When you look at that affidavit, she has to be arrested. 100% arrested. And either way, you can't, no matter how you slice it, she has to be arrested. And she is a long-term criminal, a long-term convicted criminal. She was committing crimes before Richard was even born. And she committed the crime of entering the country illegally. She has she has a problem, according to her own words, not my words. And if the witness whistleblower was not right in what he reported, identifying Leilani Hart, then why did the disgraced Bob Moore use the very individual, Leilani Hart, that was being identified as eh, the prime suspect in Richard's murder case? Why was she being used, the very same person, to discredit the whistleblower, to interfere in the case, to try to obstruct justice, to, tamper with a witness, to tamper with a witness? So it makes what was being reported absolutely powerful, powerful, a powerful witness statement, which implicates Leilani Hart and Tavita Nusa, the CID disgraced, defrocked Fort Bliss agent that was assigned to Richard. So yeah, we're just taking steps because that are different for precautionary reasons, because things are different now. Things are different. Things are, the active and ongoing cases behind the scenes are honing in and they're moving quicker. And they've got the evidence because we have been filing it and filing it, and we're under a different administration. And so the notification of a security risk was given because they're following protocols. They're following protocols. They're concerned. And I think things are just well, I know they are. They're moving quicker. So all the work that we've done in the 4 years, um, is going ongoing and active cases, and we have to address those, the changes in it, the changes that have happened, to secure our family. Because when you have almost 30 agencies involved in our son's murder case, almost 30, there's been no other case like it. Look it up. And when you're talking about that it's connected with the Mexican cartel, with the El Paso cartel that are now considered terroristic organizations and narco politicians, that narco politicians aiding and abetting. I feel sorry for the pilots. I shouldn't say I feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for them. Um, they're probably gnashing their teeth. You got pilots at Santa Teresa Jetport that this is really super concerning because it's connected to El Mayo. It's connected to El Mayo and El Chapo, and it's connected to Richard's case. And then, of course, you have the Walmart mass shooting that's connected to Richard's case, and those that are on Bliss Avenue, that's connected to Richard's case. So you have international, you have false picture given to Interpol, you have tampering, you have leaking, and you have weapons involved in this, you have a murder involved in this, you have hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked involved in this, you have whistleblower reports involved in this, DPS involved in this, Homeland Security involved in this, Department of State. You have officials that are unequally yoked, meeting in El Paso, meeting in Juarez, or meeting through a Zoom, and they're unequally yoked, and they're up to no good. And El Paso is, you know, I would be celebrating, but it's being shaken. It's being shaken to shake out these criminals. And I'm not doing the shaking. The shaking is being done by order of the President of the United States now. That's who's doing that. Because he's showing he means business. Look what he did with Colombia. 25% tariffs, and just a short time later, if they don't respond and take back their people, it's a 50% tariff. And no visas issued, and all these things. Because how can you send your criminals here. And when we say no, they are illegal. We don't want these criminals here. Our goodwill is reserved for those that come here legally. Legally. Not want to start their life in the United States illegal. My mom had to do it legally. My son-in-law had to do it legally. Our adoption had to be legal. We had to pay all that to make, to get Richard and Robert naturalized. They're adopted. We had to follow the laws and get them naturalized. And Richard was distinguished honor graduate in basic training in AIT because he wanted to serve his country that he was naturalized in. He did it legally. So we are absolutely an immigrant, pro-immigrant family, but not okay, let's take all the criminals that are going to hurt children, hurt females, hurt the economy, try to extort. I mean, the list of what these criminals are doing is out there now. The president is saying this is their criminal record. This is not defamation. This is their criminal record. So that people understand, he's being transparent. Hallelujah. He's being transparent in who he is kicking out of this country. Illegal aliens and criminal. And if you're illegal, you're a criminal, but these crimes are big. So he means business, and I think since Richard's case is connected to the Mexican cartel, those involved, they're really gnashing their teeth, because if they are aiding and abetting the terroristic organization, or if they're part of it, if they've been recruited in it, they need to recruit themselves out of it real quick, because they're in big trouble then. And they are a security risk. They are a security risk to our family. And if they are in connection with these terroristic organizations, we can't have communication with them. Okay, we can't have communication with those that are involved in the terroristic organization. We have to do that through the law enforcement offices. We have to do that right, legally. If they know where Richard's remains are, or whatever, there's a whole protocol and dealing with this situation. And so just to let you know why you're going to see maybe some smear campaigns or some angry people, this is what we're going through. We're getting very close. And that terroristic organization designation is huge. And that's why we have to take precautions not to have communications with those that we are told pose a security risk. So, thank you so much. God bless you. And we are absolutely, as soon as we hear some new information, because things are going so quick, we will absolutely let you know. Thank you so much. God bless you.